This is why narcissistic abuse leaves you completely drained. Did you know that chronic fatigue and burnout are two of the most harmful consequences of narcissistic abuse? No matter how much rest you get, it feels like you're running on fumes. If you've experienced narcissistic abuse, this may sound all too familiar. It leaves you drained and utterly depleted. Today, we'll explore the 10 reasons narcissistic abuse triggers chronic fatigue and burnout. Let's jump into the first one. 1. The constant chaos. Being around a narcissist is like living in a never-ending soap opera where you're cast as the unwilling star. Narcissists thrive on creating drama, always stirring up conflict to keep everyone unsettled. This constant turbulence saps your emotional energy, making you feel as though you've run a marathon without ever moving an inch. Dr. Ramani Devashula, a clinical psychologist who specializes in narcissistic abuse, explains that narcissists create chaos to stay relevant and maintain control. This relentless emotional turmoil is exhausting. It keeps you in survival mode, constantly on edge, and this hypervigilance takes a heavy toll on both your mental and physical health. 2. Twisted truths, gaslighting. Picture living in a world where you're never sure what's real. That's what it feels like when you're being gaslighted, a narcissist's go-to tactic. They distort the truth, causing you to question your memories, your feelings, and even your reality. You're overreacting, they might say. Or, that's not what happened. You're imagining things. Over time, this manipulation erodes your confidence and leaves you feeling mentally exhausted. Dr. Robin Stern, author of The Gaslight Effect, explains that gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse designed to make you doubt yourself. Living in this mental haze feels like carrying an invisible, crushing weight every day. Your brain never gets the chance to rest, which can lead to both burnout and chronic fatigue. 3. Bottling emotions. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you're often forced to tiptoe around them, burying your feelings to avoid conflict. You suppress your anger, sadness, and frustration just to keep the peace. But emotions don't disappear when ignored. They fester. Suppressed feelings turn into hidden stress, which accumulates over time. Renowned psychologist Dr. Gabor Mate warns, unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. This internal pressure feels like a weight pressing on your chest, leaving you physically and emotionally drained. The constant battle of holding everything in wears you down, leading to exhaustion and burnout. 4. The push and pull. Being in a relationship with a narcissist feels like being strapped to a roller coaster you can't get off. One moment, they're showering you with affection, and the next, they're distant and cold. This inconsistent behavior keeps you on edge, making you question what went wrong and what you need to do to regain their approval. This unpredictability is emotionally taxing because you're never on stable ground. It takes a toll on your mental well-being, leaving you worn out and emotionally spent. Psychotherapist Shannon Thomas explains, narcissists keep their victims off balance with inconsistent affection because it gives them power. This constant emotional upheaval erodes your sense of self and contributes to long-term fatigue and burnout. 5. The trap of codependency. In a relationship with a narcissist, you may find yourself endlessly seeking their approval, bending over backward to please them just for a sliver of validation. This constant need for their acceptance puts your self-worth in their hands, leaving little room for your own needs or priorities. Over time, this reliance chips away at your identity, leaving you feeling drained and unfulfilled. Psychologist Dr. John Tate Pollard explains it perfectly. Codependency is like letting someone else define your value. It's a relentless cycle, like running on a treadmill that never stops. No matter how hard you push, you're stuck in place. This exhausting dynamic inevitably contributes to burnout and chronic fatigue. 6. The fog of emotional numbness. After enduring the constant emotional chaos that comes with narcissistic abuse, it's not uncommon to feel as if you're living in a haze. Your emotions feel distant and out of reach, as if someone turned down the volume on your feelings. This numbing effect occurs because your mind is trying to shield itself from the relentless turmoil. It's a survival mechanism, shutting down your emotions to protect you from further pain. Dr. Jonas Webb, author of Running on Empty, describes emotional numbness as your brain's way of coping with overwhelming stress by disconnecting from your feelings. While this detachment may seem like a reprieve, it ultimately makes it harder to process your experiences, leaving you emotionally stuck and physically drained. The weight of this internal disconnection contributes significantly to fatigue and burnout. 7. Isolation and the loss of support. Being in a relationship with a narcissist often comes with a painful side effect: isolation. They may subtly or overtly cut you off from friends and family, leaving you feeling as though you have no one to rely on. This lack of social support can make you feel entirely alone, like you're fighting an uphill battle with no allies by your side. Without a support network, you lose the chance to vent, gain perspective, or simply feel heard. Every challenge feels magnified and insurmountable when faced alone. Psychologist Dr. Carol McBride explains, narcissists isolate their victims to maintain control. This isolation amplifies stress and drains your energy, ultimately leading to chronic fatigue and burnout from carrying emotional burdens entirely on your own. 8. Sleepless nights and endless anxiety. Life with a narcissist feels like being stuck in a nightmare that doesn't end, even when you're wide awake. The persistent stress and anxiety keep your mind racing, replaying past interactions and bracing for the next wave of drama. As you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, your brain refuses to slow down. It's a vicious cycle. The more you stress, the less you sleep, and the more depleted you become. Dr. Matthew Walker, a renowned sleep expert, emphasizes that stress and anxiety are sleep's worst enemies. This lack of rest leaves you physically and mentally exhausted, transforming you into a zombie navigating a never-ending soap opera. It's no wonder your energy levels are perpetually at rock bottom. 9. Dissociation, the mind's escape hatch. When faced with the relentless emotional pain of narcissistic abuse, your mind may resort to dissociation, a survival mechanism that helps you mentally escape overwhelming situations. It's like detaching from reality to avoid the unbearable. While this might offer temporary relief, it comes at a cost. Prolonged dissociation can affect your ability to focus, remember details, or think clearly. Trauma expert Dr. Bessel van der Kolk explains that dissociation is a survival mechanism that makes the unbearable bearable. However, constantly retreating from reality requires immense mental effort, leaving you feeling foggy and perpetually tired. The energy your brain uses to shield you from stress only adds to the fatigue and burnout caused by the abuse. 10. The toll of chronic stress. Living in the cycle of narcissistic abuse puts your body in a perpetual state of stress, as if you're constantly bracing for danger. This fight-or-flight mode floods your system with stress hormones, keeping you on edge and ready to react to a threat that never truly subsides. Over time, this unrelenting vigilance takes its toll, draining both your physical and mental reserves. Dr. Bruce McEwen, a prominent stress researcher, explains, chronic stress keeps the body in a heightened state of readiness, depleting energy and eroding resilience. The result: every day feels like a grueling uphill battle. This endless tension saps your strength and leads to profound fatigue and burnout because your mind and body never get the rest they need to recover. Recognizing how narcissistic abuse creates this cycle of exhaustion is a crucial step toward reclaiming your vitality. You deserve a life filled with energy and freedom, far removed from the heavy weight of abuse. Allow yourself to seek support and begin rebuilding your strength. Recovery is a journey, but with patience and self-compassion, it's one you can absolutely achieve.